Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I am so glad you are here today because we are doing something that I frankly think we should do more often. We are taking a piece of the world that everyone thinks they know, a place that is, plastered on every calendar, every desktop background, and every bucket list in existence, and we are completely dismantling the brochure.
We are ripping the brochure into tiny pieces today.
Tiny little pieces. We were talking about Maui, and usually when you hear Maui, the brain just goes on autopilot, right?
Totally.
You picture the hammock, the Mai Tai with the little umbrella, the gentle strumming of a ukulele, maybe a sunset where the biggest stressor in your life is, I don't know, whether the ice in your drink is melting too fast.
Which is a beautiful image, a very, very seductive image. It is also based on the massive stack of research, articles, and listener reports we have today, almost entirely wrong for the specific trip we are analyzing.
That is the hook that grabbed me immediately.
Yeah.
The sources are calling this the anti-vacation.
The anti-vacation. It's a perfect descriptor, isn't it?
It just stops you in your tracks. Because the data suggests that if you go to Maui right now, specifically if you're tackling what they call the Volcano and Surf route, which is the exact itinerary we are dissecting, you are not signing up for a holiday. You're signing up for a logistical marathon.
A very expensive marathon.
A shockingly expensive marathon, yeah. We are talking about an itinerary that involves, like, 3.0 a.m. alarms.
At 3.0 a.m.
It involves waking up in freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
In the tropics. It involves navigating what feels like a geopolitical minefield just to buy a coffee. And this is the part that just blew my mind. It involves complex spreadsheets just to get permission to look at nature.
It really does, and I think that's where we need to start. The sources are, they're really aggressive on this point. If you approach Maui today with a passive entertain me mindset, you are going to be miserable.
Right.
The island has changed, the infrastructure has changed, and the emotional landscape. I mean, that is the biggest shift of all.
One of the articles in our stack used a phrase that I haven't been able to shake. It described the current visitor experience as being a guest in a grieving house.
That is a heavy metaphor, but it's just so accurate. You cannot talk about Maui in the current era without talking about the shadow of the Lahaina fires. It is impossible.
It sets a completely different tone.
Yeah.
So here is our mission for this deep dive. We are going to walk through this specific volcano and surf route, Haleakalā, Paia, the North Shore.
All it.
We're going to look at the high effort, high reward dynamic, and we're going to answer a really uncomfortable question. Is it worth it? Is the heartbreak, the hassle, and the astronomical cost actually worth the trip?
And along the way, we're going to hit some really contrarian surprises, like why you might need a puffer jacket in the tropics, why the famous road to Hana is statistically, pretty likely to make you vomit, and why the local chickens are probably going to become your arch nemesis.
The chickens are a surprisingly dominant theme in the data.
They really are. They're the main characters of the North Shore, for sure.
I can't wait to get to the chickens. But we have to start with the context. We have to address the elephant in the room, the post-Lahaina reality. Because you can't just land there and pretend nothing happened.
No, and that's where a lot of tourists get it wrong. You have to understand the geography to understand the tension. Traditionally, if you look at a map of Maui, the heavy tourism engine was West Maui.
Right, Lahaina, Kanapali.
Exactly. That was the resort bubble. That's where the high-rise hotels were, the shopping malls, the manicured lawns.
The Disney version of Hawaii, you could say.
Exactly. But since the fires, that area is scarred. It is recovering, yes, but it is different. It's emotionally heavy. So what the sources are pointing out is a massive geographic shift. Visitors are moving their base.
Where are they going?
They are looking for places that feel, operational. So they are flooding the North Shore Paia, Haiku, and the Upcountry Ranch lands on the slopes of the volcano.
And this isn't just a change of scenery. That's a fundamental change of vibe. You are moving from a resort zone, which is designed to handle thousands of people, into actual residential neighborhoods.
Correct. You are driving through people's daily lives. You're on one-lane roads that locals use to get to work, to take their kids to school. And that brings us back to that grieving house concept. The local sentiment is incredibly complex right now.
How so?
It's a mix of resilience. I mean, you see the Lahaina Strong flags and stickers everywhere, but there's also a palpable exhaustion, a real weariness.
The sources mentioned the signage. And it isn't just the friendly tourist signs anymore.
Oh, not at all. You might see a sign that says respect locals, and then right next to it, hand-painted on a piece of plywood, one that says keep out or just not for you. It's a very direct form of communication.
It challenges that unconditional aloha myth that, marketing agencies have sold us for 50 years. We've been trained to believe that aloha is a service guarantee that's included in the resort fee.
That is the critical distinction we need to make today. The aloha spirit is real. It's a profound cultural concept. It is not, however, a commodity. The sources emphasize that over and over.
It isn't something you can buy.
No.
Right.
It's a relationship. And right now, that relationship is strained. As a visitor, you are walking a very fine line. You have to read the room constantly.
Which leads to this massive paradox we saw in the economic analysis.
Yeah.
It's a total catch-22.
The tourist paradox. The island's economy is fragile. I mean, it desperately needs the tourism dollars to rebuild. They need the tax revenue. Small businesses need the cash flow. But
the infrastructure.
The infrastructure, the roads, the water supply, and honestly, the patience of the people absolutely hates the tourism volume. It buckles under the weight of it.
So the message the tourist receives is baffling. It's, please don't come, but also, please don't leave.
Exactly. Why are you here? And we need you, all at the same time. It creates a friction. You scroll through Instagram or TikTok and you see these incredible drone shots of waterfalls and empty beaches. That's the promise. But the on-the-ground reality is high density. It's traffic jams. It is smelling burning brake pads on a winding road because everyone is trying to get to the same waterfall at the same time.
So the takeaway here for anyone listening who is planning this trip, this is not a customers always right destination anymore.
Far from it. If you go there with a demand mentality, if you go there thinking, I paid for this, so I deserve this, you will have a bad time. You really will. The Volcano and Surf route we are diving into is about being an observer. You are not the main character.
Let's get into the actual experience then. Let's say we commit. We accept the friction. We book the flight. We're doing the North Shore and the volcano. Walk us through the first impressions, because the sources describe a serious sensory overload the moment the wheels touch the ground.
It starts right at OGG, the Kahului airport. It's a classic open-air design, which sounds really charming in theory.
In theory, yeah.
In practice, it is humid. It hits you like a wall of hot, wet air. It smells of jet fuel mixed with plumeria and damp earth. It is sticky. But the first real bottleneck, and this is a huge practical tip for our listeners, is the rental car situation.
Oh, the rental car center. I have heard horror stories. Is it really that bad?
It is a structural issue. They centralized all the rental agencies into one building a few years ago. It sounds efficient, right? But what it means is that every single person who lands has to take a tram to this one building.
It's id funnel.
It is a choke point, an absolute choke point. If you land during the peak bank, which is between about 11:00 a.m. and 2:00 p.m., you are joining a queue that can last an hour, sometimes more. You're tired, you're hot, you've been on a plane for 6 hours, and now you're standing in a line that feels like the DMV, but sweatier.
And then, once you finally get the keys, where do you go? The sources say there is one specific holy grail stop that pretty much everyone makes immediately.
The Costco parking lot.
Of course. Yes. It is inevitable.
It's unavoidable. It is less than a mile from the airport, and it serves as your first reality check on the density issue. The parking lot is a zoo. It is aggressive. People are fighting for spots. But you have to go because, as we'll get into in the financial section, the cost of food on the island is prohibitive. You aren't just shopping. You are stocking up like you're preparing for a siege.
And so you survive the airport.
Yeah.
You battle your way through Costco. Now you drive to the North Shore Pairo, or Haiku. This is where the vibe shift happens. This is not the manicured lawns of Wailea.
No. This is where you realize you are not at a resort. The North Shore is raw. Geographically, it's exposed to the trade winds. The sources mention that if you rent a place there thinking you'll have a calm coffee on the lanai, you need to be prepared for your napkins to blow into the next yard. The trees are permanently bent sideways.
The wind literally sculpts the landscape.
It does, and there is red dirt everywhere. It gets on the tires, it gets on your shoes, it gets in the car, and the ocean. The ocean isn't that calm turquoise swimming pool you see in brochures. It is choppy. It is dark blue. It looks powerful. It looks dangerous.
And it sounds like the wildlife is a bit more present than people expect. We have to talk about the feral element.
We have to talk about the chickens.
The chickens.
They are everywhere. And we aren't talking about a few cute hens pecking around. We are talking about roosters, thousands of them. And they do not care about your sleep schedule.
Right.
In the resort areas, they control the pest population. On the North Shore and upcountry, they run wild. They are your natural alarm clock at 4:30 a.m.
4:30 a.m.
If you are lucky, sometimes 3:30 a.m. It really reinforces that feeling that the jungle is trying to take back the concrete. You are just living in their
It
territory.
sounds chaotic.
It is raw. And then there is the traffic. Paia is a tiny town, essentially one main intersection. It still has that old plantation town layout. But because the island has limited roads, really just one main artery, a single traffic light in Paia can back up the entire North Shore for 45 minutes.
Whole 45 minutes from one light.
Easily. You realize very quickly, I am on an island, there is one road, and I am stuck.
Okay, so we are stuck in traffic, we're listening to roosters, and we are covered in red dirt. Let's talk about the pain point that everyone feels, but nobody wants to admit until they get the credit card bill. The money.
This is the financial deep dive, and honestly, it is brutal. There's no other way to put it.
The sources called it imported goods on an island. Expensive.
That's the baseline. You have to understand the logistics. Almost everything you consume there, your food, your gas, your sunscreen, has been shipped across the Pacific Ocean. There's a piece of legislation called the Jones Act, which makes shipping to Hawaii incredibly expensive. That fuel cost, that labor cost, it's all passed directly to you.
Let's break down the budget. Say we are a mid-range couple. We aren't backpackers eating ramen, but we aren't flying private or staying at the Four Seasons. What are we looking at for a week?
Okay, if you exclude the flights, so just being on the ground, you are looking at $5,500 to $6,500 for 1 week.
Wait. $6,000 without flights.
Easily. Let's look at the accommodation tiers to see where that money goes. A lot of people think, oh, I'll just do the dirtbag surfer thing. I'll rent a van.
Van life is trending now.
It is. But on Maui, even the dirtbag surfer route renting a converted camper van is costing you $150 to $200 a night. And here's the catch. You can't just park anywhere. The police will knock on your window.
You can't just pull over on a beach.
Absolutely not. You need permits for specific campgrounds like Hosmer Grove or Odawalu, which are limited and book up months in advance.
So the van life fantasy is actually highly regulated and surprisingly expensive.
Highly regulated. Then you have the mid-range. This is where most people land. You rent an Airbnb cottage in Haiku or Kula. You're paying $350 to $500 a night. But here's the kicker, and the sources are really critical about this. The value proposition is shaky.
How so?
For $400 a night, you might assume you're getting some luxury. But on the North Shore, for that price, you might not have air conditioning. You might have 1995 rattan furniture. You will definitely have geckos inside the house.
So you are paying luxury prices for rustic accommodation.
You are paying for location, not amenities, 100%. And then the high end is $800 plus per night. But the real budget killer, the one that catches people off guard, is food.
Give me some concrete examples from the grocery store. What are we talking?
A gallon of milk, $9.
$9 for milk.
A loaf of bread, $8. A standard bag of potato chips, $7.
Yeah.
That is why the Costco run is mandatory. If you try to buy groceries at a standard market, you will just bleed money. And dining out.
Scared to ask.
A pleat lunch, which is the local standard, scoop of rice, scoop of mac salad, some meat, used to be the cheap option. It is now $18 to $22.
For a lunch plate from a truck.
From a truck where you eat standing up in a parking lot. Yeah. If you want to go to a fine dining establishment, like the famous Mama's Fish House, you are looking at $150 per person, minimum. And you need to book it 6 months in advance.
That is wild. So even if you are trying to be budget conscious, just eating is going to cost nearly $200 a day.
Correct. And then you add activities. The sources identify a clear trap and a win here. The trap is the guided tour.
Right.
You can pay $250 a head to sit in a van and be driven to Hana, or $180 to ride a bike down the volcano. The sources argue this is a total waste of money.
Because you can just drive yourself.
Yeah.
The roads are public.
Exactly. The win is the Haleakalā National Park Pass. It is roughly $30 per vehicle, and it's valid for 3 days. You can go up the volcano as many times as you want. Hiking is free. Watching the surf is free. The strategy here is rent the car, buy the pass, and be your own guide.
Okay, speaking of being your own guide, let's move to logistics. Because if you are doing this yourself, there are some serious traps you can fall into. The sources highlight 3 specific logistical nightmares. Let's start with the big one, the sunrise.
This is the sunrise obsession. Marketing has done a brilliant job convincing everyone that the only way to see the volcano is at sunrise.
It is on every bucket list. Watch the sunrise from Haleakalā.
It is. But the reality is you need a reservation from recreation.gov. These reservations are released 60 days in advance, and they vanish in literal seconds. I mean, it's like trying to buy Taylor Swift tickets.
It's bot wars for a sunrise.
Total bot wars. And even if you get one, think about the logistics. You have to wake up at 3 a.m. You drive up a winding mountain in the pitch black so you see nothing on the way up. You stand in freezing cold temperatures, we'll get to the cold in a second, with hundreds of other people all jostling for a view.
It sounds kind of miserable. So what is the fix?
The expert fix is to flip the script. Go for sunset. Think about it. You don't need a reservation, just the park pass. You can drive up in the afternoon, leisurely. You can do a hike into the crater, the sliding sands trail, while it's light out. You see the colors, and then you watch the sun go down. It's often warmer, the stars come out immediately after, and the crowds are slightly more manageable. You get the same view without the sleep deprivation.
That makes so much sense. Why kid yourself for 3 a.m. when 7 p.m. is right there?
Okay.
Trap number 2. The miles versus minutes fallacy. I feel like this happens on every island, but Maui specifically.
It is the road to Hana problem. You look at a map and you see Apia to Hana is about 50 miles. Your brain, accustomed to mainland highways, says, oh, 50 miles, that is an hour.
Right. Maybe an hour and 15 minutes with a bit of traffic.
In reality, that is 2.5 to 3 hours one way without stopping.
3 hours for 50 miles. Why?
Because the road is barely a road. It has over 600 curves and roughly 50 one-lane bridges. You are averaging 15 miles per hour. If you stop to see waterfalls, which is the whole point, it's a 10 to 12-hour day.
And the physical toll. I've heard things.
Car sickness is rampant. The sources say Dramamine is non-negotiable. Bring it. And structurally, you should never, ever combine the Hana Drive and the Volcano Drive on back-to-back days. Your back will hate you. You need a recovery day in between.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Trap number 3 involves our phones. We are so used to being connected, but apparently that dies quickly on Maui.
It is the connectivity black hole. Once you get into the bamboo forests of Hana or the deep crater of the volcano, your signal is gone. It's a dead zone. If you are relying on live streaming maps, you're going to get lost.
So download offline maps. That's the simple fix.
Yes, absolutely. Download the maps for the whole island before you leave your Airbnb. Or the sources highly recommend the Shaka Guide app.
What is that?
It's an audio tour app that uses GPS satellites, not cell data, so it works when the phone signal is dead. It narrates the drive for you, tells you where to stop, tells you the history of the taro patches you're passing. It's like having a tour guide in the car without paying $250 a seat.
That is a pro tip. I want to touch on the gear check quickly. You mentioned freezing earlier. I think people struggle to process the idea of being cold in Hawaii.
It's total cognitive dissonance. You're at sea level, it's 80 degrees, you're in shorts and a t-shirt. You drive up to 10,000 feet at the summit of Haleakalā. There's a lapse rate temperature drops about 3 to 5 degrees for every 1,000 feet. So at the summit, it is 40 degrees Fahrenheit. If it's windy, the wind chill is freezing.
So people show up in
flip-flops and tank tops, and they are miserable. They're shivering, they're huddled in their rental cars. You need a puffer jacket, you need a beanie, you need long pants.
And mud shoes. The sources mentioned mud shoes.
Yes, for the hikes. The red dirt on Maui contains iron oxide. It's basically rust. It stains everything. If you wear your nice white sneakers, they will never be white again. You need a pair of mud shoes trail runners you don't care about.
Okay, let's shift to something a bit more serious. Safety. We aren't just talking about crime here. We are talking about the environment itself. The ocean on the North Shore is not to be trifled with.
No, this is a major point. In the winter months, say November to March, the North Shore is world-class big wave territory. We are talking about shore breaks that can snap necks.
Literally.
Literally. The waves don't just roll in, they dump. They crash with immense force. The source material emphasizes a wet sand rule.
What is that?
It's simple physics. If the sand is wet, the water goes there. Even if it looks dry right now, that means a wave washed up there 10 minutes ago. A rogue wave can sweep up higher than you expect and drag you in. Never, ever turn your back on the ocean.
And there are social cues to look for.
Yes. If you see locals sitting on the sand and not swimming, that is a massive red flag. You should not be swimming either. They know something you don't.
It is about respecting the power of the place. Now, what about the aloha crime reality?
It is a specific type of crime. Rental car break-ins. It is practically a cottage industry on Maui. The thieves know exactly where the tourists park Twin Falls, the bamboo forest trailheads. They know you have likely left a bag, a camera, or wallet in the car while you hike for an hour.
So they just smash the window.
they smash and grab. It takes seconds. The fix suggested in the sources is completely counterintuitive, and it freaks people out, they say. Leave nothing in the car. Absolutely nothing visible, not a single coin. And then leave the doors unlocked.
Leave the doors unlocked. That feels insane.
It is to save the glass. If a thief wants to check your car, let them open the door, see it's empty, and move on. If you lock it, they might smash the window just to check. It feels wrong to do, but it saves you a $400 glass repair fee and a ruined day.
That is wild. But I guess it makes a certain pragmatic sense. Let's talk about health. We mentioned the altitude before.
Altitude sickness is real. You're ascending from 0 to 10,000 feet in about 2 hours. Your body doesn't have time to adjust. You will get a headache. You might feel nauseous or dizzy.
So how do you mitigate that?
The key is to drink double the water you think you need starting the day before. Hydration is everything. And on the drive up, stop at the visitor center at 7,000 feet. Just get out, walk around, hang out there for 20 minutes. Let your body catch up before you push to the summit.
Okay, we have covered the costs, the traps, the safety. It sounds exhausting. It really sounds like work. So why do people do it? We have to talk about the highs, because the sources describe some moments that sound absolutely transcendent.
This is the high reward part of the equation, and it's split into the spiritual and the visceral. The spiritual high is the sliding sands trail on the volcano.
Describe that experience. What does it feel like?
Imagine walking down into a dormant volcano crater. You're walking on red and black cinder cones. It looks like Mars. There is no vegetation except for the silver swords, these rare silver alien-looking plants that only grow there. And the silence. The silence is heavy. The cinder absorbs sound, so there is no echo. It's like the world is on mute.
Wow.
And then the clouds roll into the crater. You aren't looking up at them, you are inside them. You're walking in a white void. Then it clears, and everything just glistens. The source described it as a moment that makes the $6,000 price tag feel irrelevant.
That gave me chills just hearing it. And the visceral high, what's that?
Piwahi. Jaws. The famous surf break. If you are lucky enough to be there during a swell, standing on the cliff and watching 40-foot waves explode, the physics of it are overwhelming. The sound is like a cannon blast. You feel it in your chest.
It's a physical sensation.
A totally physical sensation. It is a reminder of how small you are and how powerful nature is. That is the energy people are chasing.
But not every spot delivers that kind of high, right? The sources were pretty savage about some of the popular spots. We need to do a little debunking.
Yes, we have to mention the disappointments. Twin Falls took a real beating in the reviews. It is the first convenient waterfall stop on the road to Hana, which means everyone stops there.
So it is just a parking lot nightmare.
It is chaos. Crowded trails, mud everywhere, people pushing for selfies, a total theme park atmosphere. The advice is clear, skip it, just keep driving, find the quieter spots further down the road.
And Payatown itself.
Mixed reviews. The source loved the morning vibe. Getting a coffee at 7 a.m., watching the surfers get ready, that's magic. But they hated the afternoon. By 2:00 p.m., it's gridlock traffic. The boutiques are selling $200 bikinis. It feels curated for Instagram rather than authentic surf culture.
So the advice is to time it right.
Exactly. If you want the real paya, you go at 6:00 a.m. or 9:00 p.m.
Interesting. Okay, let's zoom out. Maybe the listener is hearing all this, the cost, the hassle, the crowds, and thinking, you know what? Maybe Maui isn't for me right now.
Yep.
What are the alternatives if you want the vibe but not the friction?
The sources offer 3 really strong pivots, depending on what you're looking for.
Let's go through them. Option 1, the Big Island of Hawaii.
This is for the person who wants volcanoes and raw nature. It's significantly bigger, obviously, but also about 30% cheaper. You have active volcanoes, depending on the cycle, and it feels much rawer. Luck manicured, you have space to breathe.
Option 2, Kauai.
Specifically the North Shore, Hanalei. This is for the Jurassic Park vibes. It is prettier than Maui. It's greener, more lush. But it is sleepy. I mean, everything closes at 8:00 p.m. and it rains a lot. So if you need nightlife, don't go here. But if you want quiet beauty, it wins.
And option 3, leaving Hawaii entirely, mainland Mexico.
Sayulita or Puerto Escondido. This is the value play. If your main goal is surf culture, warm water, and good food, Mexico is 50% cheaper than Maui. You get the tacos, you get the waves, you don't get the volcano, but your wallet stays intact.
That is a compelling argument. But if someone is dead set on Hawaii, is there a way to hack it, to get the Maui experience without the full agony?
There is. The sources call it the hybrid solution. Split the trip, Do 4 days on the Big Island for the hiking and volcanoes, then hop over to Maui for just 3 days to hit the surf spots and maybe a portion of the Hana Drive.
So you get a taste.
You get a taste. Inter-island flights are short and relatively cheap, and it gives you the best of both worlds without the full week of Maui pricing and density. Smart. Okay, we have arrived at the verdict matrix. This is where we break it down by traveler profile. Who should go and who should stay away from the specific volcano and surf trip?
Let's start with the hard no, the backpacker.
Why no?
Maui hates your budget. It's that simple. Hostels are weak and rare. You cannot camp freely. You will run out of money in 3 days trying to survive on $9 milk and $8 bread. Go to Southeast Asia. Go to Central America. Just don't go here.
Next up, the family with toddlers.
Verdict, hard no on this specific itinerary.
The volcano and surf route specifically.
Right. If you want to sit at a resort pool in Wailea with your kids, fine, that's a different trip. But dragging a toddler on the road to Hana is miserable for everyone. The curves induce vomiting, the altitude of the volcano hurts, little ears babies scream at 10,000 feet, and the North Shore Ocean is way too dangerous for kids to swim in. It is just not built for them.
Makes sense. The
What?
luxury traveler. Verdict? Maybe. It's a conditional maybe. You can buy your way out of the hassle, private helicopters, private guides, all of that. But because of the labor shortages and the post-fire recovery, service levels are struggling across the island. You might be paying 5-star prices for what feels like 3-star service. You just have to be okay with that.
And finally, the mid-range couple. The active, adventurous couple who this seems designed for.
A verdict. Yes, but conditional. You have to be willing to cook your own meals. You have to be willing to deal with bugs and roosters and red dirt. If you can find the romance in the adventure, in the mud and the wind and the 4 a.m. rooster calls, then yes. Haleakalā is world-class. It is worth the effort.
So summarizing the entire deep dive, what is the final word on Maui right now, if you had to put it in one sentence?
The phrase that stuck with me is logistically exhausting but geographically unrivaled.
That sums it up perfectly. It really does.
It is a place worth doing once. It is not necessarily an annual return trip unless you are a surfer chasing a specific swell. The timing matters a lot. May or October are the sweet spots to avoid the worst crowds. And if you go, the sources say to base yourself in Kula. It's cool, it's quiet, and it is halfway between the ocean and the summit.
And book the rental car before you book the flight.
Absolutely. That is the golden rule of Maui travel right now.
I want to end with a thought from the sources that really lingered with me. It goes back to that idea of the aloha spirit we talked about at the beginning.
Yes.
We treat it like a slogan. But in a place that is rebuilding from trauma, from deep, deep trauma, aloha isn't something you buy. It is something you earn.
That is the provocative thought for the listener today. When you travel to a place like Maui right now, you have to ask yourself, are you just another car in the traffic jam? Or are you bringing a level of awareness and humility that actually helps the recovery?
Are you a guest or are you a consumer?
Exactly. That's the question.
Something to think about. Thanks for diving in with us.
Safe travel.
See you next time.